Welcome to our Sunday morning meditation service. Get comfortable. We just want you to really get into the feeling of letting the higher you open up and be filled with tremendous love, kindness, and everything we would like in life, which is peace. So just close your eyes, and this is a call and response. I am in your presence. Cleanse and purify my mind. I am one with all. I am one with all. Where there is love, there's peace. Love restores peace on earth. Love restores peace on earth. I am in your presence. Cleanse and purify my heart. I am one with all. I am one with all. Kindness and peace flows through me. I feel only peace. Where there is peace, there's joy. Love restores peace on earth. Love
Good morning, everyone. What is God's will? That question has been asked of me many times over the years. And for the most part, people asking that question really aren't ready to take on the answer. I remember one devoted seeker who that was his one and only question, and he'd gone to a number of authorities, people in religion, some people on the spiritual journey, asking, what is God's will for me? What is God's will for me? And in the course of doing that, over a long period of time, some of the authorities said, there's only one person that can actually answer your question when you pose it like that. There's a guru at the top of a mountain in India named Galina, and she's sometimes considered a goddess. In any case, she could answer your question, and that's only what they heard she could do. Anyway, he was told by those people he was questioning along the way that she has no regard for technology, only divine truth. And her situation is such that she will only answer one question. If a seeker shows up at her door, she will only answer one question, but it will be an absolute, life-transforming answer. So this particular seeker had to spend a year working very hard to get the money to travel to India and search her out, and to hire a Sherpa, take him halfway up the mountain to the place where she lived. And he had to climb half the way by himself, and he had, beginning frostbite in his toes and fingers, but he managed to get to her house, and he knocks on her door. So Guru Galina answers the door. She's wearing only a very sheer negligee. And she says to him, well, you've come a long way to ask your question. My husband left to get supplies. You can come in, have some plum wine, and warm up before you ask me your question. And he says to her, when will your husband be back? A silly joke, but I used it to point out the frail faith that most people who even declare that they're on the spiritual journey have to deal with the answer to that question, what is God's will? So let's see if we can answer that question at least reasonably today, and we can see if we're up to it. If you distill all the teachings in the New Testament down to one particular truth, if you had to distill them all down to one specific truth, it would be that God wants us to experience and to God wants us to experience and reflect through our lives true love. And that's epitomized or capsulized in this particular quote by the Master of Masters. We have this first PowerPoint up here. That's not it. Can we take it down? I hope you got the right quotes today. That's not it. No, that's not. You got last week's quotes. Who are you? Where are you? It should be John, the Gospel of John. Okay, while he's looking for that, I'll tell you another story, true story. Yesterday, I'm going to talk about a lack of understanding simply because our minds have been so long in bondage to the personal ego perspective of life. You got it? Okay, let's have it. You can read this in the Gospel of John, chapter 15. I think this epitomizes the will of God as it would be distilled in the New Testament. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Make sure you include the last part of that sentence. Greater love has no one than this, that a person lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends, if you do what I command you. No longer do I call you servants, for the servant does not know what his master is doing. But I have called you friends, for all that I have heard from my Father, I have made known to you. This I command you, to love one another. Can we take this back again, please? This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. With that caveat at the end, you know, the kind of love he's speaking about is love without conditions. Because this Master of Masters had no obligation to get love in return, no need for anyone to love him in return, or to even reward him in return for anything. He could pull bread out of the air. He could walk on water. He never presided over a funeral. Somebody in his presence died. He raised them from the dead. But the whole concept of that is that this truth that is being shared by this Master of Life is about raising all of us from the dead. And it comes down to what he's saying right here. Greater love has no one than this, that a person lay down his life for his friends. And of course, everybody thinks in terms of the crucifixion taking place 2,000 years ago. Christ didn't get crucified 2,000 years ago, and that was the end of it. Talking about the Christ presence and consciousness that is at the core of every human being, is crucified every day. We entertain loveless thoughts and carry out loveless acts. That's the ongoing crucifixion of Christ. You are my friends if you do what I command you. No longer do I call you servants, for the servant does not know what his master is doing. But I have called you friends, for all that I have heard from my Father, I have made known to you. This I command you, to love one another. And as I was saying, this is a high calling, and it's a hard calling. For most of us have lived so long in the devotion of the personal ego perspective. In other words, the lives we are living in that first state of consciousness is simply a projection in the illusionary idea of being separate from everything we look upon. And that is the human dilemma. That is the high, hard calling for human beings. I'll give you an example. I said yesterday I had a person, a guy in his 70s who's been with the church a while, who called me at home. Usually not a good thing to do because I don't do counseling like that. I mean, general counseling I don't do. But anyway, he seemed to need to talk, so I just let him talk to me. And he said, you know, I've never been able to make my life work. I just made a lot of mistakes in my life. I never finished school. I just worked a lot of meaningless, dead-end jobs, never saved any money. Then in my late 20s, I married a hillbilly girl from the Ozarks who had nothing. She had a kid, but that's it. And that gal made my life a living hell. She wouldn't work. She never cleaned the apartment. She never cooked. She just sat around all day watching television and drinking Coca-Cola. I don't know, he said. Maybe she was just too young to understand that marriage is a partnership. And I asked him, how old was she? And he said, 13. Let me tell you something. If I told that story in New York City, people everywhere would be on the floor holding their sides. You have all become just too Middle West. And nobody would dare tell a story like that in any church. But you have the privilege of hearing that story. You know, it's almost a true story. It is almost a true story because my friend did call me yesterday and he related to me something along those lines. Of course, the hillbilly girl from the Ozarks was 19 years old. So, we have this calling, and it's not something that we can just take in and accomplish. It requires a spiritual practice. In other words, we have to be able to take to task our thinking that we're used to, our everyday thinking, because it's filtered through an illusionary definition of life, of separation. And if you look at A Course in Miracles throughout, you see that the major flaw in consciousness is separation. Without it, we would never have the underlying sins of humanity. Separation itself is the only sin, the illusion of separation, which allows people to carry on loveless acts and do things that are not in keeping with harmony, healing, peace, or truth. Because the illusion has it that we can think things and do things regarding what we want to get out of life, and we can do things that are not in keeping with love to other people or to life itself. You know, you have people making decisions that are not in harmony with what the universe would want. They'll do things that are terrible to hurt the environment for the almighty dollar. But in any case, the underlying error in human awareness If a person is serious about knowing the will of God and coming into that love without conditions, it's going to require a transformation in our basic truths and beliefs, which is what this 9 a.m. service is all about, and the 11 o'clock service. So what is the hard part that we have to really deal with in getting into the love without conditions? That is, having the natural ability to look past or beyond the foibles and the limited consciousness of those seemingly around us. So I'm going to share with you the hard part as it has been clearly related. But I'm going to wait to just before the meditation to do it. Right now, let's just look at A Course in Miracles as it reveals to us the truth we are seeking to enter. Can we have this next PowerPoint, please? You can read this on 133, page 133 in the old text, paragraphs 3 and 4. In the new edition, page 144. If God's will for you is complete peace and joy, unless you experience only this, you must be refusing to acknowledge His will. His will does not vacillate, being changeless forever. When you are not at peace, it can only be because you do not believe you are in Him. Yet He is all in all. His peace is complete, and you must be included in it. His laws govern you because they govern everything. You cannot exempt yourself from His laws, although you can disobey them. Yet if you do, and only if you do, you will feel lonely and helpless because you are denying yourself everything. I am come as a light into a world that does deny itself everything. It does this simply by dissociating itself from everything. It is therefore an illusion of isolation maintained by the fear of the same loneliness that is its illusion. Can we take this back again, please? If you had no other document and were left on a deserted island and really wanted to find your way to how the reality of God transpires in a world in which this grand intelligence created everything and everything in it. Instead of us being compelled by this great intelligence, as some kings would have it in the past, to make the subjects obey otherwise. But you see, we are not so compelled. We have been given life with the ability to reflect upon life as we live it, so that we can make whatever adjustments seem to us to make for more healing, harmony, peace, understanding, and joy. That's the absolute truth of creation. Drop anything else you've heard about it. There's no separate, distant God looking down upon what's going on here to get us when we drop the body because we didn't live up to what the calling was. No, we are called to be awake while we're living and then make the adjustments in consciousness that are necessary to become divinely inspired, divinely expressing God-conscious beings, children of God. Not compelled, but called. So here we have it. If God's will for you is complete peace and joy, unless you experience only this, you must be refusing to acknowledge His will. His will does not vacillate, being changeless forever. When you are not at peace, it can only be because you do not believe you are in him. Yet he is all in all. His peace is complete, and you must be included in it. His laws govern you because they govern everything. You cannot exempt yourself from his laws, although you can disobey them. Yet if you do, and only if you do, you will feel lonely and helpless because you are denying yourself everything. I am come as a light into a world that does deny itself everything. It does this by simply dissociating itself from everything. It is therefore an illusion of isolation maintained by fear of the same loneliness that is its illusion. A high and hard calling. Because we have been so long in the projection of the personal ego, our first guide. And we have followed that so totally and so thoroughly, supposing that ultimately we could somehow personally control conditions and circumstances around us so that they would fulfill our expectations, desires, dictates, and demands. Now we have to bring into question that thinking. And here is the hard part revealed. This is something difficult for most people to fathom. But fathom it we must if we are going to come into that place of divine awareness, expanded awareness, in which we recognize that everything and everyone is sacred. Can we have this next PowerPoint, please? The Way of Love, page 106, paragraph 2. You should understand, I can't give you the book that this is in because I have no idea what book it came from. But I'll share it with you. This is something I found in my notes of past things that I was looking through for the will of God. And I had this. How does one attain this quality of love? Anything you do will only make it forced, cultivated, and therefore phony. For love cannot be forced. This is nothing you can do. There is nothing you can do, but there is something you can drop. Observe the marvelous change that comes over you the moment you stop seeing people as good and bad, as saints and sinners, and begin to see them as unaware and ignorant. You must drop your false belief that people can sin in awareness. No one can sin in the light of awareness. Sin occurs not, as we mistakenly think, in malice, but in ignorance. Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. That's one of the final lines from the cross, uttered by the Master of Masters. Father, forgive them, because they are ignorant of what they are doing. Can we take this PowerPoint back again, please? How does one attain this quality of love? Anything you do will only make it forced, cultivated, and therefore phony. For love cannot be forced. There is nothing you can do, but there is something you can drop. Observe the marvelous change that comes over you the moment you stop seeing people as good and bad, as saints and sinners, and begin to see them as unaware and ignorant. You must drop your false belief that people can sin in awareness. No one can sin in the light of awareness. That is, if you had awakened and had opened up and had already taken to task your own limited definition of life and were practicing on faith to live in relationship to the fact that everything you look upon and everyone you see is only God struggling toward the light of their own understanding. That's all religion there is. That's all there is to transformation. That's it. But it's not an easy calling. We cannot just take it in intellectually and say, oh yeah, I can do that. No. You're going to have to start a daily practice of meditation, introspection, and having the insight and courage to pause when negative emotions are rising and negative thoughts are coming into your awareness. You have to be able to pause and tune in and find out what it is you are thinking that the divine creation would not have you think, for it is taking you away from feeling okay. Bring this back, please. How does one attain this quality of love? Anything you do will only make it forced, cultivated, and therefore phony. For love cannot be forced. There is nothing you can do. But there is something you can drop. Observe the marvelous change that comes over you the moment you stop seeing people as good and bad, as saints and sinners, and begin to see them as unaware and ignorant. You must drop your false belief that people can sin in awareness. No one can sin in the light of awareness. Sin occurs not, as we mistakenly think, in malice, but in ignorance. Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. And again, that phenomenal, historic observation carries over to what I said previously. Christ was not crucified once 2,000 years ago. Because we're not talking about, we needed a man in order to allow us to begin to focus on the truth that would make us free. We needed a man to be living and to be able to work the miracles that are worked, that bring about transformation in the lives of human beings. But if you are open and honest in reading the New Testament, the man, Jesus, purposely disappears. You can't hang your hat on the man anymore, for the things that are said could never be said by a man. They can only be said by a universal consciousness, calling humanity to true life through true love. And that's our calling. And it's a hard, high calling, because we have become so used to categorizing everything, and categorizing in terms of right and wrong. You see how amazingly the Bible just comes to life. What happened to us according to the book of Genesis in the Garden of Delight, where we had everything? We were told not to partake of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, of right and wrong. Stay away from it. You can have anything you want in the Garden of Delight, but stay away from that tree, because you do not have the ability to discern properly that which is right and that which is wrong. You simply don't have it, or are born with it. You can't create it. You will never own it. Ever. But imagine you can have anything you want in creation. if you can surrender that and come to true life as an emissary, looking past the foibles, mistakes, and difficulties of all of those around you. For everything is honestly seeking the light of divine awareness. That's it. Whatever else you've been seeking, however long you've been at it, it only comes down to this. If you want life, true life. You want peace, true peace. You want harmony. You want healing. You want honesty. You want true love. Then it can never come to you from any other authority. It can only come by you taking to task your own limited collection of beliefs. So we're going to pause. And let me share this with you, though. I have another quote I can share with you, because when we're talking about everything and the majesty of having everything, it means the majesty of having the consciousness of everything. And it's put beautifully this way by Eckhart Tolle. Can we have this next PowerPoint? You can read this in his book, Stillness Speaks, on page 5, paragraph 3. When you look at a tree and perceive its stillness, you become still yourself. You connect with it at a deep level. You feel a oneness with whatever you perceive in and through stillness. Feeling the oneness of yourself with all things is true love. Feeling the oneness of yourself with all things is true love. That means now we see past the limited thinking and projections of an ego-centered, conflict-oriented world, and we enter into our calling, recognizing everyone and everything as sacred, worthy, truly worthy of forgiveness, consideration, compassion, and peace. So now we will meditate. I don't know where my partner is. So, do I really have that much time? She's usually out here by now telling me to give it up. I'll wait for her. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share with you a how-to from A Course in Miracles workbook. Can we have this next PowerPoint, which I wasn't going to use? You can read this in Lesson 68, paragraph 5. Begin today's extended practice period by searching your mind for those against whom you hold what you regard as major grievances. Some of these will be quite easy to find. Then think of the seemingly minor grievances you hold against those you like. Determine now to see all these people as friends. Say to them all, thinking of each one in turn as you do so, I would see you as my friend, that I may remember you as part of me and come to know myself. Can we take that how-to back a little bit? Where were you? Begin today's extended practice period by searching your mind for those against whom you hold what you regard as a major grievances. Some of these will be quite easy to find. Then think of the seemingly minor grievances you hold against those you like. Determine now to see all of these people as friends. Say to them all, thinking of each one in turn as you do so, I would see you as my friend, that I may remember you are part of me and come to know myself. Okay. Let's just take a few moments for meditation. Take a couple of deep breaths. As you release the breath, give yourself permission to be okay. You must first do that. Give yourself permission to be okay. If you're hoping to bestow that awareness on others, for they are also okay. And now consider with me this refined truth. Just bringing it gently to mind. There is only one everything. In you, in me, in everything we see. There is only one everything. In you, in me, in everything we see. There is only one in everyone. In you, in me, in everyone we see. There is only one everyone. In you, in me, in everything we see. There is only one in all, the all in one. There is only one in all, the all in one. There is only one. Only one. Only God, who is love. There is only one everything. In you, in me, in everything we see. There is only one in everyone. In you, in me, in everything we see. There is only one in all, the all in one. There is only one. Only God, who is love. There is only one everything. In you, in me, in everything we see. There is only one everyone. In you, in me, in everything we see. There is only one in all, the all in one. There is only one, only God, who is true love. As we go forth from this meditation to those places we occupy in time and space, let us go forth with a greater determination to be awake in the process of living. For this opportunity in every moment, we give thanks. And to this, we say, Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. Those of you that are watching live stream have these different ways you can give, and we would hope that you would give something. I know it's easier to turn away from your television screen and then forget about donating to Unity of Boulder. But you have to understand that Unity of Boulder exists very courageously because we dare to share the truth. And in a sense, we've avoided becoming a religion. So please donate. And then every now and then show up in person. I'd like to have your company with us. It's a lot more beautiful when we get more and more people together. To everyone here, we can bring our tithes into our hands and we can bless them with this offering prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is.
Hold out to earth the torch divine. We are the lights of the earth. Shine. Hold out to earth the torch divine. We are the lights of the earth. Shine, shine, shine.
Join me now, please. We dedicate this tithe to the will and the work of the Spirit of truth. The Spirit available to each of us. The Spirit that joins all of us. We dedicate this tithe to the victory of the Spirit of truth. Amen. And I know that many of you don't carry cash these days, so some of you have allowed the offering basket to go by, but you want to either stop at the credit card dipping jar in the lobby, so you can put your credit card in there and tithe at least $10 to Unity. And we have the QR code right out there. You can just photograph that QR code and it's going to bring up the link and you can tithe directly that way. So, we are going to have for those of you that like to stay and chat, we have a fellowship hall, we have refreshments in there. We usually circle up our chairs, and you can ask any questions you want about this talk or Unity in general. I will be over there to be part of the circle in about 10 minutes once we break up. Any other announcements?
That's it.
Everyone, have a beautiful day.